Honorable Men Discord. Black women who use blonde hair. Is it self-love or self-hate? Let's talk about it.
What you say, friend? You sound so pretty.
You pretty, bitch. You look like me when I am.
All right, so with entertainers like Beyonce, who was recently at the Grammys, rocking blonde hair, and I know sometimes Nicki Minaj may put on colorful hairstyles, but she will also put on blonde hair. But just within black culture, black women often at times choose to use blonde hair. So is it self-love or is it self-hate? Now, obviously, if they're using the blonde hair, they're not going to look at it as self-hate. If anything, their argument or their reasoning would be they do it for fashion purposes. It's just a new look. They like to switch up their look. So this is just one of those topics that I just want to put out there to get men's thoughts on it. Because as far as women concerned, I'm sure women are going to just look at it as just a fashion statement. They just want to do something new for a special occasion. But is it really self-love? And when I ask the question, is it self-hate? I'm asking that because the models and most of the imagery that you see in film and TV are predominantly from white women. So many times it's possible that African American women may feel like beauty is what they see predominantly. Because as the minority, you don't see a lot of African American women that give you a portrayal of what it is that beauty looks like for African Americans. Now, if you disagree with what I'm saying so far, by all means, just jump in the comments. And no, this is not an attack on black women. This is just a question. Is it self-love or self-hate? Now, obviously, if you're a black woman who's been wearing blonde hair for most of your life, you're going to say you love yourself and you do it because it looks good. But just know that there's a possibility that you're doing it not just because it looks good, but because you subconsciously feel like beauty is what you've seen in film and TV, which is predominantly white women. All right. Beyonce, who I can't remember the last time I've seen Beyonce with her real hair color. But I'll be honest, I don't follow Beyonce like that. So for all I know, she probably had her natural hair not too long ago and she just switched back to blonde during the Grammys. But the question is still a legitimate question. Is it self-love or is it hate? Because here's the thing. Imagine, and I know I might be reaching with this, but just imagine if black males were using blue contacts in their eyes. And this is geared towards the women on this one. If black males were using blue contacts in their eyes often, would you women question black males and whether or not it was self-love or self-hate? And just be honest. Be honest with yourselves. Would you question black males that were putting blue contacts in their eyes? I know I've mentioned this before on a separate video, but a lot of the things that we see on TV and in film, in social media, they have a heavy influence on what it is that we do. We could be in denial of that reality, or we could take a step back and realize that there's some truth in the things that I'm saying. Mary J. Blige, she's one that's worn blonde hair, right? And I'm saying names like Mary J. Blige, Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, not to tear them down or discredit their work, but because those are major celebrities, female celebrities, they have a heavy influence on female fans. And any other person that I may not have mentioned, any other female celebrity you could think of that you know wears blonde hair instead of their natural hair color, they're helping to promote the image of blonde hair is beautiful. And let me just make this clear. I've seen a lot of African American women with blonde hair and they look amazing, right? But this is not about whether or not they look amazing or they don't look amazing, because I also seen black women with blonde hair and they look atrocious, right? I'm just being honest. I've seen plenty black women with blonde hair that look amazing, and I've also seen plenty that look atrocious. This is about whether or not subconsciously some of these women are doing it because they're not satisfied with their natural hair color and their natural look. And the question that I'm posing is it secretly self-hate? In my opinion, because you know I always share my opinion, if you're switching up your hair color for the sake of a special event or just for a new style, by all means, I don't see anything wrong with that. I believe it becomes a problem. I believe it becomes a problem when you're switching up your hairstyle and you make your hair blonde and you never go back to your natural hair. I think that's when it becomes an issue. And if anyone is upset by what I'm saying, you probably fall into this category. If you switch your hair to blonde and you more times than not never go back to your natural hair color, there's some issues with that. And you might say, what's the issue? I could do what I want to do. But this goes right back to the Angel Reese episode, the unapologetic episode that I did on Angel Reese. You're not fully happy with yourself. And here's why. Because what's wrong with your natural look? Right? Now, some may argue, well, what are you talking about? So I have to wear my hair at its natural length? Is that the issue? Because some women might say, hey, if I put on a wig or I put on a track or, extensions, I don't know all the terms for the different forms of hair. All right, so forgive me for that. I don't follow it like that. But some might say, what's the problem? If I put on black hair that isn't mine, how is that any different if I put on blonde hair that isn't mine? The difference is, naturally, if you have black hair, the color black, and you're putting extensions to accentuate your natural look, which is black hair, you clearly are comfortable in your own skin. if you're putting on blonde hair and you never go back to your natural hair that grows out of your head, there's some issues with that. Now, not major issues. There's not going to be like a whole protest on you wearing your hair blonde, but there's personal issues with that because clearly you're not satisfied with your natural look, how you look naturally. And this is what the point I'm trying to make. Is it self-love or self-hate? Because again, I only bring this up to say if men were doing similar stuff, like wearing blue eye contacts, or even dyeing their hair blonde. If men were dyeing their hair blonde, the same men that some of you single women go out there looking for, a good man, if that good man was constantly putting blue contacts in his eyes and dyeing his hair blonde, would that or would that not be an issue? Would it? And you can say, well, it's not in men's character to do things like that. That's what females do. You can say that, but this is 2025, and it seems like there's no restriction on who does what anymore. All right? So just for the sake of argument, I'm asking women, and you can state your opinion in the comments. If men were wearing blue contacts, black men were wearing blue contacts and dyeing their hair blonde, would that be a discussion that women have pertaining to whether or not that particular male is satisfied or comfortable being in his skin? In a perfect world, everyone would be satisfied with the features that they have when they came into this world. From time to time, switching up hairstyles, hair color is cool. But when you get to the point where you shy away from your natural features, it's something to talk about. Not necessarily a public conversation, but it's something that individual needs to think about. Not talk about. I said talk about, but it's something that person needs to think about. Are you excuse me. Are you satisfied with yourself? Now, Beyonce, she doesn't look bad in blonde hair. All right, I'm not saying Beyonce looks bad in blonde hair, but Beyonce doesn't seem to want to let it go. She doesn't seem to want to let the blonde hair go. And the only thing I'd like to see more of out of the black women is just a love for their natural look. And anyone that agrees with me, feel free to jump in the comments and state your opinion on that. I personally prefer more natural than anything. And again, this is not taking shots at the celebrities I mentioned. This is not taking shots at black women that use blonde hair. I'm posing the question, is it self-love or self-hate? Again, no one's going to come out and say it's self-hate, because if you love blonde hair, obviously you're not going to say it's self-hate. But how often are you using that blonde hair? How often are you using it? How often are you using it? Because if a black male was dyeing his hair blonde and putting blue contacts in his eyes, I can guarantee black women would be questioning whether or not he's happy to be black. Let's call it spade a spade. But just something to think about. I don't have anything else to add on this subject. It was just something that came to mind. And actually it came to mind when I saw Beyonce, when I saw the clip of Beyonce at the Grammys, and I said, I want to talk about that because every time I seem to see Beyonce, she has blonde hair. So I said, let me just put that out there and see what feedback comes back, if any at all. But that's all I have for you. As always, appreciate all of you watching the videos. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Take care.